Perfect. Let me just get out of this one so I can see you guys' comments. All right. So welcome. I am Kelley Williamson. I'm your plant-based kitchenista. So if there's first time joining us, welcome. We do these classes about every 2 weeks, and we try to keep it right at 2 weeks, except when like maybe holidays or traveling or something like that and stuff hits. But otherwise and stuff, you can count on us being there. And we are definitely all focused on plant-based, definitely, vegan, and we are low fat. So when you see me cook with like saute anything, you're always going to see it without oil. So if you ever have questions about oil, I'll introduce you to Jerry here in just a second, and then he'll explain why that is. But of course, we do vegetable broth, vegetable stock. And I usually try to look for low sodium things, but if you can't find them, just the regular ones, because sometimes you can find them and sometimes you can't, depending on, with COVID and shipments and supply chain and all those fun things. And then white wine. And white wine, I always talk about, that's always just with like gnocchi sauces, tomato sauces and that type of thing. So don't use a lot of it. So most of the time it's water, vegetable broth stock is all pretty much I use. And a lot of times in chuff, I'll try to actually, if I'm starting to do a lot of sauteing and I've got 3 or 4 things going, I will actually do some vegetable broth and add water to it, because then your vegetable broth doesn't burn off as fast. It's like what oil, oil when you used to have it in the pans, you could just sit there and saute it for a long time. Not necessarily vegetable broth, it'll burn off real quick. So add a little bit of water, kind of mix some water in with it, and it'll hold a lot longer. So it's always a good tip to remember to do that. So we are going to be doing a Sofritas bowl. So if you like anything to do with like Chipotle, Qdoba, just, Mexican food type of thing, this is a great thing. You can actually this will make like more than enough to make like, say 4 or 5 bowls. So if you make it up and do, get your beans ready and your cilantro lime rice ready, all those kind of things, and then just at the last minute, or even just make up your corn salsa and your vegetables, and then just make your guacamole or just even slices of avocado last minute. You could have this all week long and just mix in different things with it. Like if you happen to have some corn on the cob, you could shave down the corn and put some more corn on it. And then you can always add, I didn't make a tomato salsa because most everybody knows how to make one, but you can just use any of your favorite salsas on there. Jerry's a big fan. If I give him he uses what is it, On the Border. He loves that salsa. And if I give him a jar of that, he can pretty much finish a jar in one sitting. So it's about this big, about that big around and stuff, but he will go through a whole entire jar if he eats like tostados or something like that. So it's one of his favorites. So before I actually get started, because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different recipes. I've actually made the black beans ahead of time. I put them in a crock pot just to have it, they cooked overnight and just been sitting warm today, and they're wonderful. And then I put the cilantro, I just put the rice, and not white rice, but the brown rice in there, and it's just cooked. And now then we'll show you how to mix it all, the rest of it together. So 1 to couple things ready, because otherwise we need 2 hours for the class. So, all right. So Jerry, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we will get started.
Yep. Welcome everyone. I'm Jerry Casados. If you haven't met me for this first time, I'm a plant-based nutritionist. And we've been plant-based now 15 years, our anniversary month for being plant-based. And I did it for health reasons, heart disease, all kinds of medications, 3 blood pressure meds, cholesterol meds. Now off all that, 35 pounds lighter. So everything's good. So I decided to go back to school and become a nutritionist, and follow Dr. McDougall's Start Solution program, if anybody's interested. He's been doing this for over 40 years now, almost 50 years now, getting people well. But we practice a Start Solution. So want any information on that, let me know. There's free consultations I do, 30 minutes. Just go to my website. The information's in the chat window, and I'll post it again. But yeah, and if you have any comments, just throw it in the chat window there. I have some plant-based news for you. I just saw some statistics on veganism. It's up 300% in the past 5 years in the United States, and 360% up in Great Britain. Australia's up 200, and it's Portugal. So it's global now. Plant-based world movement is going, and obviously the milks and all that stuff, the plant-based milks and stuff are selling like crazy. So just some good news to hear that you're all plant-based. You're on the right track, I think, and saving the planet and our health. So. Other than that, I'm just going to be behind the camera, and then I'll eat the food and enjoy. Thanks.
I think that's his favorite thing in the world he's always like, okay, so what's on, what's for the class? Because he's figuring out for the week what he's going to be eating. So makes him happy. Oops. On here. There we go. All right. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get the Sofritas bowl ready to go. So I have everything laid out here. So we've got a block of extra firm tofu. It's one of the things that says press. So you can actually just take something like this, just a dish like this, put your paper towels on it, and then put like a weight, like a bowl or something on there. Or what I do over is basically just get it ready the day before. I put it into a bowl just like this, put the paper towels. And then if you want, if you want it even drier, switch your paper towels out and then, drain it and then just put it in here and let it sit in the fridge covered overnight. And it actually soaks up, your paper towel soaks up all of the moisture, and you have a really nice block of like sort of not really dried, but pressed tofu without having to do all the other work. But if you need something quick, put it in something just like this, put some a paper towel on it, put some weight on it, and just kind of keep pressing down on it as you're cooking something else, and it'll have your tofu all ready to go. So we are going to make the sauce. So let me just pull over the blender really quick and get that ready. And you'll get to see my old blender container. It needs to be replaced. But this is a memory of Chef AJ, as we were doing a cooking class when we were doing one of the summits and stuff, and this one got broke. But it's still, it holds all it's amazing because it's cracked, but it holds all the moisture and everything in there. And then this was what, and you'll see this is what cracked it. The lid got stuck in here and didn't see it and hit the blender and crack, and nice lid. So need to order a new one. Need to order a new one of these. But it still works. So it's hard. It's like these things are like, I don't know, like $120 or something for it. So it still works. I'm like, I'll just wait. All right. So the Sofritas bowl. So we're going to make it. So we've got chipotle. So we got the chipotle peppers and adobo sauce. So they're more of adobo sauce is more like, so it's basically like the red peppers and stuff, but it's more in the poblano peppers, but it's smoky. So it gives a really nice smoky flavor. If you don't want really hot, then really cut back on the adobo peppers. So we say 2 chipotle peppers. That can be a lot. So it can get, but we've also got a big block of tofu that we're going to put together. So, and then I've got some of the juice or sauce that's in there. You can also, if you don't, because you get about 4 or 5 per these little cans. So if you don't use, if you use just like one of them out of there, freeze the rest. And so just pull it, just put it in those little snack bags so you can have like one at a time, and then just keep it in the freezer and mark it on there what it is, and then just pull it out as you need it. So, these were actually frozen, and so Jerry couldn't find them in the store. So I just pulled out our frozen ones and we're all ready to go. So I'm going to dump those in there. Nice. It's a really nice smoky smell, which I really like. It's like smoked paprika, almost that kind of a smell. So then we've got the adobo sauce in there. So we've got a half a cup of the vegetable broth. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. If you don't have vegetable broth or stock, water works just fine with this recipe. And then you've got tomato sauce and then maple syrup. So I actually, because I was running out of my little dishes, so I actually mixed the two together. So I've got the tomato sauce and the maple syrup, and it's just a regular maple syrup that you have. The tomato sauce, same thing. Don't use it all. Freeze it. Mark on the bag what it is, and you can freeze it. And then when you get ready to make something that's like like a marinara sauce or something like that, you can just pull it out and use it. I do that all the time. Tomatoes, tomato sauces, anything, just put it in the freezers and mark it. All right, and then I've got cumin. So we've got the cumin in here. I've got the oregano in here. So those are all ready to go. So you'll notice that there's definitely a theme for oregano, cumin, and smoked paprika through this whole entire recipe. And then you've got chili powder and smoked paprika. Most favorite thing in the world is this sweet smoked paprika. It is my favorite. It is sweet smoked Spanish paprika, which is by Savory Spice. It's absolutely wonderful. And it's got this really nice, like really smoky flavor. And I don't use any other paprika, but this one. It's one of my favorites. Did you say there was a question? Yes, I actually have done my own vegetable broth, what's really nice to do is like when you're making things and chopping things up, you can actually just, take the ends and pieces. You don't definitely want to you got to be careful about some vegetables you put in there because they will overpower your vegetable broth. But like all the end pieces of like your onions and all those kind of things, potatoes, all that will go into that vegetable broth, and then you can boil up. Don't do what I did the very first time I made it. I decided to be really fancy and I made these huge bags because I was like, okay, I use a lot of vegetable broth, but I was putting them in these big like gallon bags, That's a lot of vegetable broth. You know, put it in smaller ones, or even I saw something on QVC the other day, which was, I thought was just the coolest thing. They have these little silicone tubs, and they actually can go anywhere from, like, if you want 1/8 of a cup up to a cup, and they're rectangle, but they have little squares, and you can fill them up, and then you can put a lid over them and freeze them. And so you would have these little cups, so these little block cups of vegetable broth or soups or whatever else. And I thought that is really cool. And you get 2 sets of that for, it was very inexpensive, but I thought that would be great for vegetable broth, because then when you need like a couple of the blocks, you got it ready, but you don't have a gallon. So, but yes, I've made vegetable broth a lot of times. Depending on, you know, we just moved not too long ago, about a month ago. So definitely using the boxed right now, but highly recommend making your own. It's so good. Thank you for that. Okay, and then I've got everything. So basically into the garlic cloves. So we've got lime juice. You'll see that's a theme also through this. And then garlic. Sticks to there. So just minced garlic. You don't have to mince it ahead of time if you don't want to, because you're going to be putting it in a high-speed blender anyway. All right, so let me just do the blender real quick. It's not going to take very long. And then I'll set it aside. Gets nice and creamy. So let's do a quick taste. Got a kick because of the adobo, but the chipotle peppers and stuff. But I would say not real hot. If it's too hot, then add just like a little bit more lime juice or a little bit more water. But that's actually really good, especially when we're going to be putting it all the way through this tofu. So I'll just set this aside. But it's really, you know, it's a beautiful sauce. And once you mix it all up, it gets really thick, which is really, really nice. If it gets too thick and it starts, like if it sits around for a while, just add some more vegetable broth or water, and it'll thin that out for you. All right, so then let's just set that over there. We'll set that over there. Okay, so we'll get the tofu going, and then we'll start the rice. Perfect. Okay, so we got everything ready. So we are going to add some vegetable broth to our pan. Could be water also, just a little bit. Then we're going to add the onions. So just chopped up onions. This is white onions, but you could use yellow, you know, you could use red, whatever you have is fine. It's just what I had on hand was the white onions. It's always Jerry's preference is white onions. Don't know why. Maybe because I don't know if he thinks they're sweeter, or he says he thinks they're sweeter. All right, and then we've got the tofu. So you could do it, you know, as much as you could do it, like chop it up and make like small dices if you want to. You could actually just, you know, crumble it up. However you want to do it, you could do it in strips. Most of the time when you go into like a Chipotle or Qdoba, the Sofritas and stuff, it's just crumbled up tofu. But if you wanted it like chunks, you could definitely do it that way. So just grab it with your hand and just start scrumbling it up. If the piece gets a little big, drops in there, it's okay. You can just use your spoon or a spatula and then just crunching it up a little bit more. Let me start. And you could if you also don't want to do it with your hands like this, you could just set it on a cutting board and, you know, grab like a spatula or a fork or something like that, and just start crumbling it up that way. You can put it into, you know, like a little food processor to scramble it up, you know, whatever you'd like. So the one thing on here is, because I said, is that, you know, you're going to let it set for a little while, and you're going to try to get it as brown as much as you can. When you're doing, and you don't have the oil with the tofu, you don't get things as brown. You do if you put it in the oven, but not when you're cooking it or sauteing it up like this. So what's probably going to end up happening is we're going to get it firm, but we're not going to so much get it where it's going to have a lot of browning with it. We're going to try a little bit, but it's definitely not going to be like that way if you were using oil. Okay, almost all crumbled up. Said this is all firm tofu. I always usually get that question. I always just use firm tofu. I like it like extra firm. I just like how it holds up with things, especially if you're making like slices. So I've always been one that just buys the extra firm tofu. or I do the silken if I'm going to make like a mayo or something like that. So just kind of spread it out. See if you got any big chunks. Spread it out and just let it sit. Wash my hands. So we'll just kind of let that sit and kind of simmer a little bit. All right. So the roasted corn salsa. So I already did the poblano because I figured we didn't need to sit while it was roasting. So I just took a regular poblano pepper that you can see here. Then I just put it in the oven on parchment paper. If you've got like a gas stove, you could actually just, roast it up on top of the stove. But since I figured it was new, I didn't want to dirty it up too much. That was my thing. So I just put it on parchment paper and then just roasted at 350. It probably took about 20, 25 minutes, but you'll notice when it gets roasted, it's actually sitting long enough. You'll start getting like bubbles and blackness and things like that on it, which is really nice. And then we're just gonna take it like this and peel off the skin. And if you let it set in, you just wrap some saran wrap and stuff around, like plastic wrap and stuff, and just put it in a bowl. Then it actually peels off really nice and you get the skin off. So you get a little bit of that, basically what happens is that toughness comes off, but it also gives you a nice roasted flavor. I do this all the time when like in the grocery store. So King Soopers here in Colorado, they always have a section that is, it's almost like it's starting to get like a little old or something, it's been on the shelf a little bit too long. So they'll do that a lot so I don't buy the potatoes or anything like that, but I will buy the red peppers and green bell peppers. And then when I buy them, I bring them home and they'll be like, packs of, I'll probably get like 15, 16 for like $3. And they're not rotten or anything like that, but I'll take them. And then what I'll do is I will put them in the oven and roast them all up. And then I'll chop them up and then I'll put them in baggies. And then when I'm doing something like hash browns or something like that, then I can just use those roasted peppers, which is really nice. So I'll usually do like my roasted garlic and my roasted peppers at the same time, and then just have bags and bags of them, which is really nice, especially when you only pay $3. All right, just get in there. You can take the seeds out. I'm going to take the seeds out. You don't have to if you want just a little more. That's where your heat is. So up to you what you want to do. You'll notice not all the skin came off, but that's okay. It's actually really pretty. Feel a little bit more off. All right. Poblano sitting there. You can do the same thing to a jalapeno, any of the different peppers that you want. You can roast them up and then, same thing if you like lots of heat and you want the serranos and the jalapenos and all those things together, you can do it. You can also dehydrate them, which is really nice too, because when you dehydrate the peppers, especially the hot ones, you can add just chop up little chunks of them and put them in soups, and it's really good. And they keep forever, which is nice. Okay, so we're gonna get the corn going. So we have the corn here. So this is just regular frozen corn. I want to get that in the oven to roast, since this is called a roasted corn salsa. So I'm just going to put that on the baking sheet. Give it a quick little shake. And then in the oven it goes. So 350, probably about 20 minutes or so, and it's going to be okay. So, you can definitely make sure that you refrigerate it. I'm okay if it comes out a little bit warm today for making this recipe. Normally, if I was making it, I would probably put it in the refrigerator and have it the next day. But like I said, I'm okay with that. Okay, so just a quick stir. Let it set a little bit more. No browning yet. I'll show you that when it starts to brown a little bit. All right, so I am going to put the pepper aside just for now. And let me grab the rice. So rice. The rice I actually did in the Instant Pot. So I put the rice in there, put in the vegetable broth. So the nice thing about putting vegetable broth instead of water, but if you don't have vegetable broth, water works, as I put it in here with a bay leaf and then just let it go for this one, I put it in for about 19 minutes because I definitely want to make sure it was soft. There's a little bit more liquid on it, so I'll probably dish them out. But now that it's all ready to go, so you can see that's just brown rice. You can do white rice, up to you. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bay leaves out that I put in there because we don't need those in. And then I am going to grab a bowl to put the, well, actually, I think I'm going to I'll keep the rice in here because the rice I want to make sure stays warm. And the Instant Pot, that's what's nice about the Instant Pots. They will keep everything warm. So you could keep, you could cook something during the, like at, 10 a.m. and then by 5, dinner's ready. And it just keeps, it's just all nice and warm, which is really great. Keeps it warm. So this one's ready to go. So if we're going to finish up the rice, you're going to see, I got the bay leaves. I just took those out. So we're going to do the cilantro. I am not a fan of cilantro. It's what they call that gene that you have that's just like, but I'm going to use the cilantro because I've used just a little bit here and there. So I'm going to put that in. Jerry's not a big fan of cilantro either. But I figure with this amount of rice, we'll be okay. And then we're going to do the zest of a half of a lime. So I've got the lime. Let's just grab your microplane, zester, whatever you have. Make sure you don't go too far. You just kind of want to do a light kind of a zest on there. Otherwise you get the white rind in there and then it gets bitter. So, okay, that's ready to go. I'll just keep that off to the side. And then you've got a tablespoon of lime juice and a tablespoon of lemon juice. Stir the tofu and hear it sizzling. As it's cooking too, it's going to start sticking to the bottom of the pan. So that's when you're going to want to watch it. And then that's also too, when you're going to get a little bit of the brownness. Actually smells really good. It's got the onions cooking. Okay, so then that's ready to go. So all we're going to do is just do a quick stir on it. This is where you would want, if you want salt and pepper, it's where you would add your salt and pepper. It's got a nice, like a nice acid. So you got a little bit of the, I'm trying to stay away from the cilantro a little bit, but it's got a nice acid flavor, which is really good. So I'm going to put this back in the Instant Pot. So it's ready to go and it just keeps it warm. So black beans, go ahead and put the lid on. So black beans, I did those last night. What I did is, of course, I was like, oh, I forgot I have a crock pot. And I thought instead of, doing the Instant Pot and having to wash it down and then keep, heating up the beans later, I just put them in a crock pot and I just put the beans in, didn't do any soaking or anything, put them in there. And then when I added the onion, I added garlic, and then I added the spices. So the oregano, the cumin, black pepper, and then I did chili powder, smoked paprika. I did the bay leaf. So I'll have to pull the bay leaf out. And then I did vegetable broth. So, and then I just let it, so I basically put it on, I got it going first. I made sure that it was, heated up nice. And that was probably about 8 o'clock last night. And then from there, that's when I remembered I had the crock pot. And so from there, then I went and put it on low. And then when I woke up this morning, they were all ready to go. And then I've just kept it on warm all day. So I've got nice warm black beans. Still not browning yet. So it's just still cooking a little bit. All right. So we got the sauce on there. So like I said, the nice thing about though, if you don't, if it really doesn't brown, like we would normally do if you had the oil with the Sofritas, you can actually, by the time you add the sauce in, it's going to turn this nice kind of rusty color anyway. And nobody's ever going to know if it's browned or not browned. So they'll like it. All right. So we've got that ready to go. We've got the rice and the beans. Those are ready to go because you have to have, if you're going to have a Sofritas bowl, you have to have the rice and beans. Those are big things. If you don't like rice, I've seen like in times when you go to the like Chipotle or Qdoba and stuff, there's some people don't like rice, so they'll just get all beans or vice versa, rice without the beans. So, if you don't like either one of those, then don't make them. Definitely not make them. All right. So guacamole, my favorite. This is one of the ones, my recipes and stuff that I absolutely love. And when I make it, we used to take it to parties. And so we would have like, 4th of July cookout. And it was interesting because individuals and stuff would be like, oh, she's here with the guacamole, and it would disappear really quick. It's a really easy to do, but a really, really good guacamole. I notice a lot of times and stuff when you go like to restaurants, they seem to be, it's just kind of like it's almost like pureed avocado with maybe a little bit of flavorings. This one is chunky, which that's where I love. Okay, so let me grab bowl. Okay, so we have avocados. Nice ones, yay. You know, you can definitely, you can watch and you can just go like this and you can pull out the pit. You don't, be careful. I have a friend that was actually doing some chopping of some things and was slicing and didn't think about it and sliced this way. This is one of my managers and sliced here and didn't realize, went in and got, stitches and stuff, but didn't realize the tendons were cut. So we ended up having this huge surgery on her thumb, reattaching tendons and all that just from slicing that way. So be careful, please. The best person in the world, even chefs and stuff, even more beautiful, can actually get chopped or can get cut and end up having big problems. Okay. Let me show you this real quick and then we'll make the guacamole. So it's, like I said, it doesn't brown much. It just, I'll let it set for a little bit longer and stuff and try to get as much browning as I can. You can definitely get a spatula and scrape off the things that are on the bottom, which will give you a little bit more of that browning. But it's nice, but it's nice and start to be really firm, which is what you're looking for. So let that set a little bit longer. All right, so you've got this. So avocado, scoop them out. And if it's just you, at home and stuff, make one, or even make a half of a recipe. You don't have to do the full recipe of this one. That came off real easy. Hand wash. Smells really good though. Okay, so then you've got your avocado in there. So I just grab like a fork, like a really thick fork, and then just do a nice mashing of it. There's many different ways. You can grab a potato masher if you want. Especially if you've got one that's a little bit tougher. And actually, I think I might, because that would fit really nice in this bowl. I'm going to grab the potato masher. I like my guacamole chunky. So if you don't like it chunky and you'd rather have it more smooth, you could put it in a food processor and smooth down your avocado first if you wanted to. But I like nothing better than when you're eating the guacamole and stuff and you find that one chunk of avocado. All right. Get everything cleaned off here. I think that's good. I'm going to turn this, pause it. All right. So we've got this. So if we're following along, we've got jalapeno. If you don't like jalapeno, keep it out. But remember and stuff, if you don't want really the heat of the jalapeno, then take out the seeds and the actual, the insides part of it, and then go ahead and just chop it up. So we're going to add the jalapeno in there, give it some nice flavor. And then if you decided you didn't want jalapeno, you've got the poblano that we actually just mixed up here. So you could actually chop a little bit of that if you didn't want the heat, but still wanted that pepper flavor. Poblano is a really nice substitute for that. Then we've got red onion. So add as much or as little as you want. Remember, I always talk about So I spill it all over the place. I always talk about even my recipes. You can always add spices. You can't take it away. So if you're like, well, I'm not sure if I like that much cumin, or if I'm not sure if I like that much smoked paprika, always start. If I say like a teaspoon, go down like 1/8 of a teaspoon. And then as you're sauteing things, taste it, and then come back and say, I'd like more. And then, mark up your recipes and say, I like a 1/2 teaspoon, but I don't like 3/4 of a teaspoon. Make these recipes yours, because everybody's, even though I've taste tested these with a lot of people, everybody's palate's different. So some people don't prefer the spiciness like others do, or like cumin's not one of their favorite things. Like I never grew up with cumin. Grew up in Kansas, no cumin in our house. Never had it until I had Mexican food for the first time when I was 18. So, but now I love Mexican food. So I just kind of eyeball it. That was probably about half the amount of red onion. I'm going to add just a little bit more. And the reason why we use the red onion in this is because it stands out with the color. So it gives you the really nice, the colors and stuff when you're doing a guacamole. And there's nothing prettier than when you put guacamole in a bowl and you've got color. I think that looks pretty good. So we'll have red onions. We'll just put those in the fridge and use those for something else. Then we've got the lime juice and the lemon juice. So I've got that right here mixed up together. That's going to help, preserve it. But it also when you've got guacamole and you've got things that are kind of sweet in that, it gives you that nice acid flavor of, having that and the freshness. They always talk about, when you add lemon, like if you watch all the cooking shows, they're like, oh, really nice if you had some acid on it. That's usually the lemon and the lime. They're looking for that freshness. So it goes there. And if you don't have lemon and lime, you just have lime or something, then just add the lime into it and add the freshness. You don't have to have both. It's really good when the lemon and lime mix together, but you don't need it. Don't go out and buy it. Then I've got 1 clove of garlic, some minced garlic, and spoon. Mix that in. What'd be really good in this too is if you roasted up a bunch of garlic and then you'd actually chopped up and minced the roasted garlic. It would give you a nice roasted flavor, which would be really good. Okay, and then favorite salsa. So I just use, and it just gives a little bit of the flavor. So this is the On the Border salsa. So I just add a little bit of that in. Just adds nice, like the tomato flavor. If you wanted to, you could actually, leave the salsa out, but just chop up tomatoes. So that'd be another way and stuff to add a bunch of chunks to your guacamole. Mix it up as I'm going. And then we've got garlic powder right here. Tell it was in the fridge. I always get ready for classes the night before. So I always chop everything up, have everything ready. And it's always the night before. And then I cover it all up and put it in the fridge. It's all ready. And this is where you would taste it. And if you wanted to add salt, the sea salt and pepper, the garlic powder helps it a lot. But if you want to add that, feel free to add that. I just try to watch. Jerry doesn't like salt. So anytime if I make salt into something, he's always like, it tastes salty. So I always try to make things without the salt, and then I will leave the salt on the table, and then I'll add it. Just add a little bit more. I just noticed a couple spots. All right. Taste. Do that real. Don't want all the garlic powder. And this is where you would say, I need a little more garlic powder. I need a little bit more, salt, pepper. That's really good. Very fresh. And it's nice too because the avocados are really good. Just a tip, if you ever start making your guacamole, like you're getting ready for like friends and family or something are coming over, and you take you go into the actual avocado and it's hard. So it looks like it's great and it feels like it was great, but it's hard. Take it, wrap it up in plastic wrap and put it in the microwave for about probably like a little bit less than a minute. And actually the heat and you might have to do it a couple times just to try it, but the heat will break it down and then you can start mixing it up and stuff. And that it's not as good as like when the avocado is really ripe, but it still will make really good guacamole by the time you add all the flavors. So that is what it looks like, all ready to go. Yum. So I will keep that off to the side over here. All right. So let's turn on the Sofritas again. So let me show you just a little bit. Get a little bit of that browning that's on the bottom because that's the good part. Remind me of the old days and stuff when I was, cooking for the family and you had, pork chops or something like that in there. Bad word, I know, but all that, and you'd always have the bottom things that the crust on the bottom, and so you'd scrape it up and make the gravies and all that. So there it is. So you got a little, like I said, just a little bit of browning. Definitely not what you're going to see when you're going to have like the oil, but at least it gives you some of the nice browning, and then it also makes that tofu a lot firmer. Okay, so let's get started. Let's put medium low. Now we've got the sofrita sauce. So we're just going to add that in. So I would just kind of test a little bit. So pour in part of it. Mix it. But know that, tofu is just like everything else, that, different vegetables and stuff, it just soaks up everything you put on it. So, and one thing you could add, let's just say, if you didn't like, for substitution, I always like to give tips and tricks. If you didn't like tofu, or you're just saying, kind of want to stay away from tofu, you could always do jackfruit. So you could make the sofritas with the jackfruit. And that would give, do the same, it's the same process, everything, but it would give you the really nice, like almost like the texture that you're looking for, but you don't have tofu. And it would come out really, really well. I'm gonna add a little bit more. So it looks like we're probably gonna have some extra sofrita sauce. So if I have the extra sauce, freeze it. Put it in the freezer and say, oops, sofritas next time. And then you don't have to worry about making everything. Or finding the chipotle and adobo. Chickpea tofu. I have not seen that. Huh. That's pretty cool. Did they say it was good or you just saw a post on it? Never seen it. Yeah. Just saw the post. I could see it. I don't think it would be bad at all. So I'll have to, if I see it in the stores and stuff, I'll have to try it and then let everybody know what it's like. But I did not see a post. Thanks for sharing. I'll have to go look for it now. See about that. Because I'm just let this warm just a little bit. So it looks beautiful. Looks just like your sofrita. So you could actually, if you wanted to, if you had extra peppers, because I'm going to saute up peppers here in just a second. If you had extra peppers or different other vegetables that you wanted to put in here, you could definitely do that with your sofrita mix. You could add all kinds of different things other than the tofu and the onions. And it would be all ready to go. Okay, I'm going to set this to the side because I want to saute up the peppers. I will check the corn. It's looking good. Let me grab a. So it's just you'll start to see a little bit of browning. A little bit of browning on the sides. So you're just going to want to just check it like that, kind of mix it around a little bit and then put it back in the oven. That's the good spots. We're starting to brown. All right. Okay, pan. The nice thing about that, I don't know if you heard the beeping just a few minutes ago and stuff. It actually will beep at me if it doesn't have the pan on it and tell me that's getting ready to shut down the induction burner, which is really a nice thing to have. Okay, so peppers. You do not have to do these, but if you go into, if you, like I said, if you love the chipotle and the Qdoba and that. Jerry prefers chipotle. I prefer Qdoba. That's just different flavors, and I think it's what you get used to. But they always have the fajita vegetables. But if you ever look at them, they're just soaked in oil, lots and lots and lots of oil. So this is a great way and stuff to make those without having the oil all over them. And then also when you make these up, if you don't use them all for the bowls, then you can have them, you can put them on salads and you can put them, on potatoes. And there's so many different things that you could do with this. So we are going to do green. If you don't like green, substitute in orange or something, but it's just nice to have all the pretty colors. I like green peppers. I'd say Jerry's, he's okay with them. But when they're all sauteed up like this, they're gonna be really good. So I'll just add just a little bit of vegetable broth just to get things going. Not too much because you've got the peppers, which are gonna put out some moisture. Then I've got yellow. And I just did them, I just chopped them up into nice little slices like that. So you could do them in dices, you could do them in slices, whatever you'd like. Red. And onions. And onions, I just did them. So I just took the onion, cut it in half and did half. So basically they're called half moons. So they kind of match the same, like if you're getting ready to eat something, it's almost like the same mouth texture and feel and stuff when you've got about the same size. So put those in there. And then you just start sauteing them all together. Just kind of break up your onions. And talk about a wonderful smell. When you've got onions and garlic and peppers and things like that cooking, nothing better. So I'm going to put, I have a lid and I put it over here. That way I can just kind of let it go. It'll cook down a little bit faster. Check the corn. It's getting there. All right, so let's grab all of this off. So I don't think we need that. Okay, so we got the roasted corn salsa. So we're gonna do that here in just a second. I think I'm gonna pull out the corn. That way I can cool it off just a little bit. So you'll notice that it's already starting, you've got all the little brown spots that are in there. So it's especially on your edges. So if you're doing it for a long time and you want more of the browning, just flip your edges. So kind of just with the parchment paper, flip the edges in. And then that way your other corn and stuff comes to the outside and then you can keep browning. And that's, or give it a quick stir, quick shake, whatever you want to do. So kind of spill it all over the place. There we go. Okay, so then grab a dish. This is really a nice, like if you want to do, so, now that people can start getting together and, and have been getting together for a while for, with after COVID or COVID's still around, et cetera. But when you want to make something, this is a great way to have, friends and family over because you can actually put, so you could do you can do the rice in a bowl or you can keep it in the Instant Pot. And then the next thing you can have is your beans in the crock pot. And then you would have like your guacamole. So like all the parts and pieces to make these bowls and people can help themselves and make things. So, your favorites like roasted salsa and all that. Great way to do this. It's almost like, so last time we did the, what did we do, Jer? Yes, 2 weeks. Ramen bowls, thank you. I knew I was gonna forget the name. So we did ramen bowls and that's the same type of thing. If you have the noodles ready to go, and then you want to, then you have them the broth so they can try the broth and they can put all the different vegetables in it. It's just a fun way that when people get together, they get to make their own things and they love it. And it's quick and easy because all this stuff, other than like the guacamole, but everything else, you can get it done a day ahead of time and then enjoy the party. All right, let's get this out of the way. Check our peppers. It's like a pepper facial. And nothing prettier too, especially when you have all the colors of the peppers, there's nothing prettier. And if you really like the sofrita sauce, you could always add that onto the peppers too later. So if you decide, okay, I'm going to add everything in together, but then the next day I want to make it spicy, add in some of your sofrita sauce. So you can use it, 2 or 3 different ways. So let's toss that over there. All right, so nice roasted corn. Another easy way to do this too is to get some corn on the cob and then just put that on parchment paper in the oven and then just kind of keep rolling it and roast it out and then chop it off just carve it off the actual cob. And then you've got the same thing, even sweet corn. Okay, so we got that there. We got the corn in there, so poblanos. So we need to chop that up. So I'm probably going to do small little dices of it. And just kind of playing with it a little bit just to see. Looks like it actually, probably all of it will be fine. But if you don't want all of it, you've already got it roasted out, freeze it. And you're probably thinking, I need a really big freezer. But if you put it in, like the little snack, the snack bags, I've never been a big user of the snack bags, but if you put them in, those little ones and stuff, then you like one shelf, you could put a lot of things that are frozen. Just a little bit. All right, let me grab a big spoon. So that was a small poblano. So I would say a small poblano, 2 cups of corn is probably a really good mixture unless you don't like poblano or peppers or anything like that at all. But so you can see that there's got the green in it already, which looks really good. That's only part of it. Then you've got cilantro. So I'm only add just a little bit, not a lot. When I did classes, when I was doing all the cook with me classes, and I'd have the recipes and I'd bring in the cilantro and everything else. That's always when I went home with somebody. So if we didn't use it, I'm always like, who wants the cilantro to take it home? Because it won't get used in our house. So it was always very popular. All right. And then you've got, then we've got the red onion, the same thing. Figure out how much you like. If you don't want a lot of red onion because it can overpower your dish, then only add a little bit of it in. I always talk about make these recipes your own. So add as much or as little of the flavorings and stuff that you want. This is one of my favorite salsas if I go to Chipotle or Qdoba is the corn one. And you could also switch it up by doing the white corn. So if you roast out the white corn, it's really good too. And if you ever go to if you have a Costco, they have an organic corn and it's a white corn. It's really good in this recipe. Or even mix it up. So you could do like the yellow corn and the white corn, makes it really pretty. Okay, just a little bit more. Okay, put that off to the side. All right, and then we've got, just to make sure we've got everything, because we've got that's gone. We've got the lemon and lime juice. So another theme, as you're noticing. Have a little bit of that freshness, the acid you're looking for. A quick little stir. And then, because I skipped it, jalapeno. I'm only going to add a little bit. Since I have jalapeno and a couple other things like the guacamole, I don't want to overpower the dish. So just a little bit for the flavor. Jerry will eat the rest. He'll eat the rest on something else. Oops. How you doing, Heather? Let those cook a little bit longer. The softer the peppers are, the better, especially when you're making something like one of the sofrito bowls. It's just because then it's easier to cut up and that type of thing. So I always just going to cook them until they're really soft. And that's another thing that you could actually do the day before. So you could do that and heat them up, and then you're ready to go for the bowl. Okay, so do a taste. Always have to do a taste. I'm a big corn lover anyway. Grew up in Kansas. Comfort food, mashed potatoes and corn. So anything with mashed potatoes and corn is yummy. That is really good. It has, you could, like I said, you can add like some extra hotness if you want or something, but just the freshness of the corn and everything else in there. And it's really pretty. Yeah. So Jerry, you don't get any of this in your bowl. Sorry. Perfect. All right. Let's get everything kind of cleaned up out of the way. And guac. All right, let's get everything out of the way here. We're gonna make everything kind of like in some order so we can put things together. Two bowls. So I think I will use this one. Okay, rice. Put at the bottom. So you started out, you got the rice. So there was extra liquid in this, so that's why I just did a little bit of draining. Come back in there. The black beans, you can put all the moisture, everything that's around the black beans if you want the moisture in there and make it, very saucy if you want, or you can drain them. I'm going to actually drain them a little bit because I want pretty much just the beans. The beans smell really good. So instead of just like plain black beans, it's got those onions in it and the cumin and everything else. And they've been, like I said, they've been warming all day. I'm not surprised if Jerry hasn't had like a couple spoonfuls. Drain it. If you don't like black beans, pinto beans. You could do that too. All right, those out of the way. Okay, next, peppers. And my spoon. I'm trying to even them out so I get the yellow, the oranges. I'll show you this really quick. How beautiful that is, just with the color. Beautiful. Okay, let's even it out. We'll get some of the green, the red. Even it out a little bit. A couple onions. Let's just do a couple red ones. Okay, done that. And you can do this in any order you want, but it was just easier and stuff to do it this way. Okay, so we've got the rice on the bottom, we've got the black beans, we've got now the kind of the sauteed vegetables, or what normally they would say in the stores is the sauteed fajita vegetables. So we have that. So we got the sofritas. So I'm going to heat them up really quick. That'll be just a second. And then usually you'll do your guacamole and your salsa, or you can do your salsa and your guacamole. So it depends on what you want to have on the top. So if you want to have, one or the other, that is completely your choice how you'd like to do it. But it's really pretty when you're just starting to layer them already and they look really nice. Yum. Okay, this will take just a second. It's time. I got 4 minutes. We got time. So that's set for a minute. Put it on a max sear, which is really nice. So it'll take just a second. Make sure it's hot. That's really good. Got a little kick, but it's like a smoky, like not the hot, like burning, searing kick, but like a smoky kick. Okay, give it a minute just to sit for a second, and then we will get everything else made. So what do you think? Do you think I should do the corn salsa and then the guacamole, or you want me to do the guacamole and then the corn salsa? Do a quick little guac first, okay? You won. Because you can always put another dollop of guacamole on top if you're missing it. Okay, there we go. Sofritas. And I'm putting quite a bit on here, but there is more than enough, I would say, by what's left over. There's more than enough for probably another 2-3 bowls. So you could probably easily get 6 bowls out of this recipe. Okay, so we said guac first. Got it. It's a bunch of guac. There we go. Don't want to waste the corn. It's probably my favorite, is the corn. Anything corn. All right, and then just for decoration, voila. You could drop jalapenos on there, all kinds of good things. Okay, so Sofritas bowls. They smell delicious. Look at that color, isn't that beautiful? You've got the red onions, you've got the yellow, you've got the green, you've got the peppers, you've got the black beans. There's nothing prettier than that. So who needs to go out and go buy this? You can make your own. And you can make your family, you can, freeze it, make a whole bunch, eat it on, for the week, make all kinds of, you could actually, instead of doing the rice, you could do roasted potatoes. There's all kinds of things you could do with this. So you could almost be like a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and weekend. Don't forget the weekends. Yeah, very filling. So I hope you guys enjoyed. So see you in 2 weeks. Lots of good recipes coming up. I posted all the way through May, so I'll probably start posting through June for that. But I will, if you guys have any questions, need any, any tips and tricks and stuff, let me know. I'm always here to help. It's all about community and sharing the health and wellness and all that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you in 2 weeks. Heather, send us pictures. Anybody else that cook, love to see the pictures and love to keep up with everybody. So love you guys. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.